Hey folks, it's Isaline and I'm thrilled to record this Work in SEO podcast, a podcast where we explore the diversity of career paths leading to working in SEO. We interview amazing people to learn from them and help you navigate your way in your own SEO career. I'm Isaline Mühlhauser, SEO nerd and content strategist, founder of the SEO consultancy pilea.ch. Today, I am joined by the brilliant Amruta Khemnar, Manager Business Strategy at Merkle Sokrati. Amruta is an active member in the SEO community. She regularly shares her knowledge as a webinar guest. And today we are lucky to have her here with me at the podcast. Hey, Amruta.
Hi, Celine. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here today. I have invited you to discuss, actually, after seeing one of your webinars that I thought about inviting you. It was a webinar about SEO trends and how to understand them, how to keep up with them. This is the plan of the podcast today. I hope you will learn why it's so important to follow the trend in SEO and also how to follow them, like how not to be overwhelmed because there are so many different things and so many different sources. Amruta is going to help us make sense of all of that.
Absolutely.
This is Work in SEO. Amruta Khemnar, Manager Business Strategy at Merkle Sokrati. And here we go. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your current position here and what you like about it?
Absolutely. I started my career in SEO in 2017, and I think I've been fortunate enough to start my career with Merkle, which is a very known SEO agency here in India. So before that, just a quick brief on my story on how I stumbled on SEO. Basically, I was working with a family friend of mine who was into a home composting unit. So she was an entrepreneur, and her business was basically to help small homes or to do decompose their wet waste at home. So to get this information out to people on knowing about composting and what the product is about, the medium that we came across was obviously online marketing, and through that we understood that a lot of people were looking out for information on home composting. The frequently asked questions that we otherwise catered to offline. This is how we understood that the requirement or the need of the hour is SEO. So definitely that's where my journey to SEO began. That bringing up a website and getting content out there and getting some organic visibility. Today, as Lee mentioned, been working with Merkle for about 2.5 years. I think I've been very fortunate that being the agency side, we get to work with a lot of multiple sector clients, and that's where you start leveling up in terms of experience in SEO. And I think my role initially started as a business analyst. So the business analyst, competencies and skills that were required, combined with the technical aspect of SEO, is what helped me deliver projects efficiently. Like we learn a lot of project management systems. You help facilitate the integration of different components of services which you required. Like it could be your content teams bringing together your technical team, and then delivering an entire project end to end. I think these sort of responsibilities and learnings have definitely helped me you know uh, to make a mark in the SEO field.
I can see that you have a really unique blend of competences because I heard lots of people who come from, for instance, a technical side or a copywriting side, having this business analyst, really strong background that must be really helpful. Do you have a favorite type of project or a favorite type of challenges that you like tackling?
Yes, I think content is something that I'm more inclined towards. So getting the right information, getting the right content to your user, because search is very search is content driven. Any user who's looking out for the main the keywords that we work on and the information that he's seeking, and Google's part is basically to be able to deliver that. So my projects have always been that you bridge the gap between the user and what your client is providing. So being the giving the best of the quality of content and information to the user. So definitely those kinds. And I think my first project that I worked over here with in my agency was HBRS Send, and that's very close to my heart. We were able to get some fabulous results, and we were able to have a case study on that. That's a project that's close to my heart.
That sounds really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. I think do check it out. I think it's on there on the website. So some phenomenal work that we did there. Yes.
Can you explain how you keep up to date? When I saw you first, it was about this webinar about SEO trends. And obviously, in order to create that webinar, it means that you follow up the trends and that you have to be aware of them and also understand them. Can you tell us, like, why keeping up to date with SEO trends is so important in your job?
Absolutely. So I think SEO is, as we know, is ever evolving. And as John New has already stated, that SEO is going to stay forever. And the search requirements vary with seasonality and need base. It could also vary in terms of geography or demography, right? So these are custom requirements that we need to cater to. Here when I say we, this is also your search engine, your clients who are going to provide some information, and yes, your consultants who are going to be the middlemen, right? So we really need to understand what your user base is, what because user is the core of search, and there's always a constant give and take of information between user and search engines. So let's say, for example, there are different trends. The pandemic happened, right, all over, and the users are seeking information, on what is about COVID and the statistics. What are the cases like in my area? Am I in the red zone? Am I in the green zone? So definitely, that's where you need to. That's where the trend in terms of the search demands. Like we have seen a exponential growth in the search trends for COVID related queries. And if you are somebody who is from the healthcare sector, you're definitely want to have an authoritative content. Like Google has its guidelines over it, the EAT guidelines. Make sure that you're complying with it. So you need to be up to date with these trends. You need to know that your information is fact checked, because Google will be considering you under all these aspects. So pick up on those trends. Make sure if your what is the time schedule like, because we in lockdown situations, if your store is open, is it shut, what and you need to keep on updating these and providing these information. So be the first one to make these changes. So definitely to keep up with these trends is something that I would suggest. So there has to be to ensure that this information is updated, and need to be practiced and provide the best strategies as SEO consultants to have an action planning.
Two things I find so interesting in what you said is how you placed straight away the user at the center. And you didn't say you need to be up to date for search engine straight from the start, saying, "Oh yeah, the user is what matter most." Also, I find really interesting that in your approach of keeping up with the trends, it really means like being ahead of the market. How would you integrate in your everyday life at your work being updated with trends? What kind of tools and how much time do you spend?
I think my usual day consists of like 8 hours of work that we have a dedicated work hour time. So my mornings are usually the time that I get to quickly get these updates. I usually spend a 30 minutes on a quick check or a quick read from the sources that that I most connect with. So definitely, I think anybody who wants to start with doing this as a practice, I would highly recommend being a part of certain groups, SEO groups, discussion forums, or following some SEO industry experts. So a few names, if I have to mention, it would be definitely Alida Solis. Uh, Go in for setting up these Google alerts for yourself. So search Lizen is one wherein any Google updates that's going to come up. you would want to get an alert to your mailbox, or if your LinkedIn, be a part of group discussions where these updates are being discussed about. And then these 30 minutes, I think they especially help me to come back and then understand, okay, let's say there's going to be a Google update, right? I need to look at what my spam score is for my clients. I need to understand how is my content aligned, is there any duplicate content issue. So accordingly, prioritize my task items for that particular client, so that I know that I comply with these updates. So if it's a paid speed update that's going to be rolled out next month, what are the prerequisites that I might require? So it helps me to prepare with, aligning my teams, be it, informing my tech team, getting their bandwidth, and aligning all the resources of the internal stakeholders that would be involved in this project.
There is a first phase where you read and listen and get to know, get in touch with the new trends. And then there's the second phase when you say, oh, you need to check what is important for which clients. And that is like maybe something for one client is not so essential, but something is very essential for clients. So there is this second phase, aligning what is happening with the needs of the clients.
Absolutely.
And then there is this third phase that you knew, that is like creating an action plan basically and getting the team involved. That's right.
Correct, correct. So definitely, like I said, prioritization of these action items will help you to plan better for what's upcoming, what updates are upcoming, and aligning, getting most of your performance.
Do you have a practical example of a recent change and how you applied it in your work?
Right. I think knowledge, you read a lot, and if this knowledge that you're going to take in from different sources, if that's not used, it's going to become junk data at the end of it. Because just reading and not putting it into action is not going to help. One of my experiences that I want to quote is, we were working on one of our clients, and they kept dropping their ranks in the review section. Right, they were ranking for the review section, and they kept coming back. Obviously, even we had this as a highlighted point that our review rankings are dropping. So that was a concern. But when we fact checked, what was it that probably is missing? There wasn't anything, right? But then, because you are continuously reading this, or you're updated, you know that Google has come forward and has explicitly said that there's a Google bug, and in their system, because of which you some of them might have taken a hit on the review rankings. And then this information, basically, as me as an SEO consultant, I can go back to my client and kill it helps to kill the panic mode, because client is like, it's added like, hello, like my performance is dropping, my visibility is dropping, what are you doing about it, my leads, and it's impacting my business. So definitely, you can go back and help, let's settle down things. Okay, like, this is nothing that we are doing wrong, but definitely something that's a glitch, technical glitch at Google side, and we can just it'll just take some time for it to sort out, and we should be back on the performance front. So that is the one recent example. I think we definitely can pick up from these SEO trends or SEO alerts, I would say, and something to take back on. Yeah.
Do you have an advice for someone who is a beginner in this client relationship and who has to discuss for the clients, well, the sort of uncertainty of the ever-changing algorithm, and like you said, other client goes in panic mode. Like, what kind of advice can you give us to communicate both the opportunities and the challenges? Because yes, it might drop, right?
Right, right. So I think what is important here is we definitely need to have these. Once I mean, the timeline can be decided upon, but quarterly, or as and when the client needs to be educated about how SEO or the organic channel works. So the basic functionality of it and the understanding for both the client and its leadership is very essential, because we've seen that at many times they might confuse it with how the paid channel works, and then it becomes a challenge that okay, because performance challenge has its own working model, right? So you cannot compare these two models. So the understanding of educating your client is, I think, is very important. And then you keep telling them about these updates, or you send out these what we call it, like insights into the SEO industry, what is upcoming, what are the updates, and you can share these material with them, because coming right from Google is more, so that might ensure trust for the client in the work that you're doing. So definitely, I think educating the client would be the highlight here.
What is it in your job today that keeps you motivated and makes you wake up in the morning?
I think the best part of it is no 2 days are same. SEO is like, an adventure, because the sheer joy of being part of something that you're creating, something that is continuously undergoing evolution, and it challenges its own limits, because what was applicable yesterday may not be applicable today, because we have leveled up. Right? So Google comes back, they're continuously A/B testing something in the background. It's always, like I said, user centric. So the A/B testing results, that is what is your the search engine will come up and will provide you. Now we know that Google has enriched these search results. So earlier it was just a simple listing results, and then with evolving times, I think we were able to see people also ask for section, the rich snippet results, the knowledge graph, and so on. And now we're looking at voice search, we're looking at image search, and so many trends. So there's always something to look forward towards, to something new that you're going to keep learning. The two most important things for me to look forward, if I have to sum up, is my favorite cup of tea and what's next in Google Update. So yes.
What kind of advice can you give us? You mentioned earlier this list of sources that you have. How should I create my own list of sources? Is there like a list of people everybody should follow, or maybe it's better to create for a specific industry, or how to find trustworthy sources?
For beginners, I would suggest, there is a lot of blogs or content out there done by Moz or Href blogs. The basics, when don't directly jump onto something that is at an advanced level, and then feel very confused, or probably get very overwhelmed with the information that is out there. So start with the basics of, like, the ABCs of SEO, understanding what elements comprise of SEO, then move your way upwards gradually. Give it some time, absorb all the information. Some of the key names that, if I have to mention, or the resources if I have to mention, is definitely watch out for Alida Solis. She does some wonderful content in learningseo.io. She is somebody I really look up to, and she has done, she gets all these resources together on this one platform for everybody. So right from a beginner to an advanced level, or if you want to look at some particular, let's say, content or technical aspect, you can search those elements and get information particular to that sector. Definitely look out for that. You can sign up for different newsletters that give you updates regularly. So there's a weekly newsletter by the SEO FOMO letter newsletter by her, and being a part of these, like I said, discussion forums, women in tech SEO. So, and there's so much we learn from these forums, from some experts who share so much of knowledge and their learnings. I think Arich Abu Ali has done a fantastic. I think I would like to definitely give her a shout out with women in tech SEO, that work that she's been doing.
It's about reading the article that trusted people read and taking lists that are curated by professionals that we can trust, or journals that we can trust, and not jumping on the first article. I found really interesting how you say you need to absorb knowledge.
Right, right.
And
Because
I often say, oh, I like sponging knowledge.
I like that word too. Right. So, because I've had, right now, I am also mentoring people, right? been fortunate enough to get this opportunity to be a mentor to a few folks in my current organization. So I see them, they're just running at it at the like a race that I'm gonna complete this, I'm gonna complete this. But I always tell them, take a moment and reflect on what you've learned and try to apply it. Because until and unless you don't practice what you've read in theory, that's it wouldn't stay with you as much. So that's definitely one advice that I give all my mentees.
That's really good. It's a sort of journaling knowledge. Like when you learn something, you journal at the end of the day. Oh, this is what I learned.
That's exactly that. That's it.
It's true that sometimes we read something and it goes really fast, and then it is also out of our brain really fast. And also, I think one thing is keeping the sources close to hand. Like I do, for instance, Google Keep Notes per subject with list of URL to good articles or article that I found particularly helpful, because sometimes I don't need it straight away, but I know that in the near future, probably I will need that.
Right, right. Even I do
So
that as a practice actually. So always have this bookmarked folder for SEO Goodreads, and then you keep
yeah.
bookmarking them, and whenever you have some time, you go back to that folder and have an easy access to the content that you liked.
What do you see in the near future for your SEO path now?
I have always loved to be triggered to change. And at my workplace, like I mentioned, I'm always striving to level up, in terms of processes, in terms of, automating things that we are doing, or leveling up in terms of tools that we use or the technology that we use. For me, I always see that as something that we can always grow on, in terms of finding new opportunities in the existing environment, taking up additional roles. It could be management related, something that I've never worked on. Having my hands try on that, and my been fortunate that my workplace has been providing me that. So that's something I really appreciate. Having had a mentor myself, I know the importance of mentorship and being a mentee. And I think uh, definitely, next what I would look forward to in my path is mentoring my folks, that giving in terms of what I've learned, giving back to my folks who I work with. Yes, all
That's so
the
nice of you.
thank you so much.
It's true that having someone to look up to, either through a mentorship program or just like we do today with a podcast, it does help a lot to see what other people do and see that it's possible to do these things and to do it in whatever way is convenient for us.
So important today that you are open to getting the knowledge, or reaching out and asking for the help that's required, and being fortunate enough to find these platforms and people who you look up to, and you getting some understandings, getting being able to pose these questions and getting more information is something that you must do as a continuous practice.
That seems like an excellent moment for me to ask you where people can contact you or get in touch if they want to follow up the discussion.
You can definitely reach me at my LinkedIn handle, and I think I definitely would want to catch up with you. If there's anything that I could help you with, please feel free to drop me a message, and I shall be happy to get back to you.
I'll make sure to share the link also in the description of the podcast so you can easily find it. Now it's time for the last feature. It's the moment where we can share the love to somebody else. And so, can you tell me who I should interview next, or someone that you really admire and that we should check out and learn from?
Well, a big shout out to my mentor who helped me. I mean, like holding my fingers, I has guided me on all my queries. He's been very patient, and he's such a helpful person. I'd say definitely Deepak Mankani, who currently leads, who's a global SEO delivery head for Merkle. Definitely, I think he would be an awesome guest for this podcast, and big shout out for him.
Thanks so much for sharing. And I'm sure he'll be really happy to hear about the shout out.
I hope so because I think he's been my mentor, and I think nothing my mentor. It's all big big. uh, mm, sorry, I'm not getting the word. It's like a big thank you for him. Like say this is my way of saying thank you. Like always for always being there and being my guide.
Yeah, it sounds like a great company environment when you have someone within that helps you along.
True, true. I mean, nothing like having a great mentor, a great guide. So yes, thank you, Deepak. Thank you.
Thank you a lot for the interview. I see that time have run so fast with you, and I'm really happy that I had the chance to interview you. And after I saw your webinar with the students, if you want to share feedback to the podcast, to me or to Amruta, just please reach out. You find me on Twitter, Isaline_Margot, or directly work in SEO. Thank you for listening to us, and thanks again, Amruta, for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Isaline. Thanks a lot for this opportunity.